Hello, everyone. Welcome to our newest episode of Limitless, the People podcast, where tech meets talk and soft skills sharpen your edge. My name is Cristina Boros. I am your host on this skills track. And today we're diving into a topic that haunts both group chats, planner apps, moms with busy lives, and also Saturday night and Sunday night anxiety. It's called time management, and it is talked by everywhere and everyone. Now, whether you're coding, leading, or just trying to finish a task before getting distracted by yet another cat video, today's episode is for you. Joining me are two brilliant minds from the world of communication and academia, Magda, Illyés, and Magor, Kádár, both of whom have mastered not only the art of using the words wisely, but also using time, or at least better than all of us, I'm hoping. Hello and welcome. Could you please introduce yourselves and tell us something about your time management?
Hello, I am Magor Kádár. I'm a full-time professor at Babes Bolyai University, of course at the communication department, communication, advertising and PR department, and I'm a trainer for more than 20 years. And one of the topics that we've been working is the time management. I have to tell you that is a topic that we've been working for 20 years, but time management itself, well, I believe since it was my mother that first you clean up your room and then you do something. And well, this is how the first time management or task management issues entered my life. So this is the earliest I could remember. Of course, later grew, and I grew into a very nice occasional procrastinator, which yes, I have to admit I am, and it pleases me a lot. So right at the end, let me tell you, there's no such thing as good or bad. There are just some habits that would help us achieve something that we would like, or would just be a burden along the way. So a professor and a trainer, and kind of the similar shoes, is Magda.
Yes, hi, my name is Magda. I'm also a lecturer at Babes Bolyai University at the Education Science Department. And I'm also a trainer. I'm working as a therapist. And my struggle with time management started, I think, when I went to university, because I am an achiever. I had to do 2 specializations in the same time. So I was always rushing from one class to another. And I remember I had one exam period with 15 exams in 4 weeks. So I really had to learn how to manage my time. I don't think I'm proficient yet, but I'm researching the topic a lot. So, you know what they say about teachers, the ones who know it, they practice it. The ones who are learning it are also teaching it. So let's see what I could find out through these researches.
Thank you. So what you're telling me, Magor, is that this is not a new thing, right? It's not just the buzzword productivity thing that everybody talks about, but it's something that we learn starting in childhood, hopefully, and we master, as Magda said, by learning and studying and applying. So let me ask you then this. Do you think that we misuse maybe the word time management now that everybody talks about it? Is it more about managing our time or managing ourselves?
Misuse. That's a good question. Certainly, it's a misuse of the time. I'm not sure about the term or the concept, if that would be the misuse. Now, when we talk about time management and we go to training, to companies and corporate trainings, usually we find out that it's more like task management, or it's more like priorities, which of course would affect your time management, what fits in your time or your work schedule. But first we think about priorities, then we think about tasks, and then we'll see the time frame added to all these. So yes, time management is kind of the end issue, because we realize we don't have enough time. Maybe we have too many tasks. Maybe we have a very bad prioritization. So there are lots of things that would go around time management, but let's just encapsulate to this one let's say term, and just, well, explore the time part, but obviously it's more than just time.
Magda, why is this so important to all of us all of a sudden, this time management issue?
Well, I think as a society, we have to learn how to manage our time with home office, with hybrid work, with remote work, when family life, personal life, and work life kind of mingle. And it's something that we didn't learn when we went to school or university, because then we had school time and home time. Now with home office and people working from everywhere, actually, from the park, from the cafe, from home, it kind of mixes together, and you wash one load of laundry, and then you answer to some emails, and it kind of mixes together. So these are some skills and abilities that we as a society have to learn.
This is honestly a very interesting concept. Do you think that this hybrid type of always on the run work is affecting our time management?
Well, you say it.
You go, because I know what you want to say. Just go ahead and I will complete it. It's okay.
Yes, I think it affects our time management because we don't have boundaries between our personal life and our work life, and it's going back to what Magor said. We have lots of tasks, and we are trying to multitask and doing all those things together, and well, we are not really efficient at none of those. For example, I just forgot my laundry in the washing machine preparing for this podcast.
Okay, so it's a mix, but getting back to what Magor said about time management and the fact that we should be learning it, or at least our parents started teaching us. I don't know how much we learned. We're in this situation. Is this the human factor, us as humans? Is this a help? Is it making it better? Is it making it more complicated?
Certainly, it is about the competences of using or managing our time, which can be learned and has to be learned. So when somebody says, well, I'm not good at time management, it means that you're pretty good at noticing that you have a problem with that. And as we used to say, a problem admitted or just recon, it's already half solved. So yes, I have a problem with that. Let's do something on this matter. And yes, you will act. But what I can see is that we learn during our life, but what Magda said, especially during the pandemic, we just get overwhelmed, and our time management habits and needs change drastically. So going back to work and laundry machine, yes, it's very useful for me in the home office because my active attention or my focus is like 25 minutes, or maybe yours up to 45. But that's what we are conditioned in the school, where a class it's like 25 minutes to 50. So that's what we are used to. Now it's got shorter with the newer generation. So back home, when I'm working from home, it's really helpful to me. Now I'm having an interview. It's really nice. I'm focusing. After to debrief, yes, after I will do maybe some course, probably out in the garden, also in the garden where it's still daylight, and then return. So my usually day work when I'm in home office, it would be like a run of 25 to 30 minutes and then a 5 to 10 minutes break. Yes, I have to do something different. Switching from a meeting to emails and then switching back to another meeting, that's not a break. You cannot recover, and your mind doesn't have the time to close what happened and open the next one. It's still in the execution mode. And of course, you can go on with the execution mode. You get tired, you get less effective. So these runs actually, and as I said, I combine with course, yes. Now I have a half an hour work, then I just put in some dishes to wash. With the cycle is 36 minutes, so it's excellent because I can come back to work, and then it's a Pomodoro. I have to solve it in 36 minutes. And I have that time frame, and then okay, the washing machine will say, bing, bing, here's the break. Let's take them out, let's have a coffee or a sandwich, and then I'm back. So this is how our new schedule would define us, something which we never talked about before the pandemic. And the separation of the space, as Magda said, and the time. Now it's a work time, now it's free time, now it's a time for family, not all together. And it's very important to separate that. To have a clear separation of these.
Yes, definitely.
And let me tell you why we cannot do that. Magda will tell you why we cannot do that. Because we build up lots of internal internal, I say, mechanisms to defend ourselves from these ones. I don't want to say that because Magda is a psychologist and she does a great job on that.
Then I do have a question for Magda. So the biggest impact on my life was, I think, maybe last year, so late in the game, I admit it, but I read a study that, so basically the conclusion was the fact that once you start something, whether it's in Pomodoro technique or in either whatever focusing technique you use, if you start working on something and you're really focused and you're in that area where you're supposed to be, if somebody interrupts you or you interrupt yourself, the phone rings, cat videos, since we were talking about them, it takes you up to a full 25 minutes to pick up where you left off and get back into being into the focus mode. Magda, what can you tell me about this?
Well, yes, but it's depending a lot on what you have to do and for how long have you worked before, because we know that Magor already mentioned the focus time of 20-25 minutes up to 45, but we know that we have circadian rhythms of 90 minutes that repeat one after another. So actually you cannot do focused work for more than 90 minutes, but of these 90 minutes your attention fluctuates in intensity. So the classic Pomodoro method of 25 minutes focused work and 5 minutes break works for some simpler tasks. If you have to do something really complex that you have to engage in very much, it works more like with 50 minutes focused work and 20 minutes break. And actually of those 50 minutes, the first 5 to 10 up to 15 minutes will be getting back into focus. But we also know that you cannot focus for very long because, the efficiency of your work will drop drastically after those 40-45 minutes. But I think Magor has some tips and tricks regarding that, and maybe...
Yes, please help us out.
We always go to training, and the training when we do a problem like at the beginning, because of course I'm not teaching or we're not working with time management like you have to know all these. Everybody has issues, everybody has concepts, everybody has a different situation. So it's okay. The approach is like, okay, what's your problem? And one of them is procrastination is the first, let me tell that. But the second is when the interruptions would come in or would occur, and how to take them out. And yes, we have lots of stories on that. First is when you're not available at your desktop. Of course, if you use it regularly and you are also available, not all the time unavailable. But until that, I do not keep my phone next to me when I am working. Because when the phone rings, I look there, or just a message, I look there, I see the name, and I know exactly who is and what they want from me. And I know, let me just give the answer. It's just like 1 minute to give them the answer. And I pick up the phone and I'm nice, So I'm just answering immediately. I give the answer, and then I have to reconnect. And if I do it again, then we will be exactly where you told us earlier. I don't have the phone. My job doesn't require to pick up the phone all the time. I can recall you in the break or when I have my phone and email time, 2 times during the day. And then I will call you back. If it's an emergency and the house is burning, then call the fireman. Because I'm not good at that. Okay, I deal with issues. I'm a strategical planning. I'm a communication. Of course, if you are working on the front desk or you're in the sales, of course you answer your phone because that's your primary job. My primary job as a teacher or a trainer is to work on materials, is to prepare myself, is to prepare or check on others' works and activity, so I don't have to answer the phone. Second, nobody should call me, not even my family. I talk with my mom at 10 p.m. in the evening. If they call me on daytime, it's an emergency. I have to answer that. So then I will answer the phone because that's an emergency. But please don't call me 2 times while I'm having a class or focusing on my task, and 2 times because I get anxious and I said, okay, that might be some problems or some issues. So yes, we focus all these. If they want me, I'm in the family, something from me during the day, they wrote me a message. It will be the first thing I open and I read, and it's the most efficient way you can communicate with me. Also with clients, also with European legislation, employers cannot contact employees out of work hours. It's not that in Romania, but in Spain it exists. And yes, you cannot write an email. Of course, the client would write you and so on, but no company duties. And it is also to protect not just the focus, but your free time as well. So yes, take out everything that would just disturb you, even for 1 minute, because that time cannot be gained back.
Definitely, time flies and it does not come back. So just to sum it up, because these seem to me very important skills to have. One would be to have allocated slots in which you read emails or you do certain repetitive tasks, right? Because emails come every day, messages the same. So just organize your day in allocated slots for each type of repetitive situation. And second, make rules, even for family, or especially for family, rules that everybody knows. But I do have to ask you one question. So what is the role of communication in time management? Since we are communicators, right? Is it just about learning how to say no better? Or is it connected to you reinforcing these rules?
Well, saying no, the way you say no, of course, it's a communication matter or issue. But deciding when to say no, what to say no, well, that's a strategic problem. And that's a task management or priority or a higher level issue until I come and say no, because it's going to be a time stealer. It's not that it's not doesn't have any benefit for me. I have to decide if that should fit in my time or should not. So saying no, of course, definitely is one of these. But just the way you talk to your colleagues, when can you be called or disturbed, or when to put your meetings, you have a planning, you educate your colleagues, and there will be a company culture. At every company, there will be a culture of how to contact somebody, how to access, how to ask for their time. And these are rules. And yes, you can use these rules toward your colleagues, the clients, even the clients, because the client wants me to work best. So don't disturb me if you want me to work best. Let's just agree on times when we will talk. You will talk with me after lunch, because then it's a very good client meeting time. When I'm before lunch and I'm focusing, and my focus is at highest, I don't want to chit chats, I don't want to talks, I don't want to emails. So that's communication. Yes, educate your peers, educate your clients, and of course, educate your family. I started with this one because that's probably the most shocking one. How you say to your loved ones when to call you or how to contact you. Yes, just the way you tell to your colleagues. Contact me an email, contact me an SMS, contact me depending on the problem, depending on the gravity, depending on the information transmitted. You should decide, or every company should have policies on that, what channels are preferred or should be used in all these cases. And yes, this is a strong communication issue.
Okay, but since we're talking about the human element, Magda, I would like to ask you, what do we do about FOMO, fear of missing out?
Fear of missing out or fear of missing included? Both.
Both? You're right. Both. Thank you for adding that.
Yes. I just wanted to react regarding this, and FOMO is one of the problems, so to what Magor said, because my experience as a psychologist is that everybody knows the rules. Tips and tricks, it's very clear. When Magor explains it, it's even clearer. But when we go to the practice, it's very difficult to leave your phone outside. Andrew Huberman says that he even locks his phone in his car, so he's not tempted to use it. It sounds fun. It sounds very useful in theory, but in practice, it's very difficult to do it. FOMO is just one of those issues, the fear of being of not finding out something very important. Actually, if you think it through, you will find it out eventually, and nothing will happen if you find it out 1 hour later. But my experience is that we have even more issues that can impede us in applying these tips and tricks, because every one of us, depending on our personality, the way we grew up, the way we are used to work, have our own internal saboteurs who are kind of preventing us from achieving our goals. I don't know if you go the game Saboteur when you are dwarf. And
The
you
mining
have to,
dwarves, yeah.
yeah, the mining. You have to find the gold in the mine, and the saboteurs are trying to. They are acting like they are dwarfs, but they are actually not letting you find that gold. And if we are honest, each and every one of us, we have our own saboteurs. For example, we might be hyperachievers and we want to do everything at once. For example, like I was when I went to universities, and we want to be the best. So actually, I cannot leave my phone outside. I have to answer it because maybe it's some other task that I can excel at, or maybe we are sticklers. We have to do everything perfectly. So I cannot finish my task on time because there are some things that I have to revise, and if I revise it, I find 2 more typos, so I have to read it again to make sure there is no typo in it. We might be pleasers who want to please everyone. So although I know the rule that I shouldn't answer my phone, what will the others think of me? I want to be a good colleague. I'm a good mother. I have to answer my phone if my child calls, so on. And if we don't know about these saboteurs, they can prevent us in applying these tips. So I think that time management comes first with self-knowledge, knowing yourself, knowing your own saboteurs that will stop you from achieving your goals, and first counteracting them, and then trying to apply all these tools. Otherwise, it's just constant feeling of I'm not good enough because I can't even apply these simple tips.
You were saying at the beginning, Christina, that we are time management experts, and of course we deal with time. And I was thinking around here that I know my saboteur. I'm a hypervigilant. I'm on strategical planning, so I have to know everything that happens, that everything might happen, of course. But since I know that this is my saboteur, then I know, okay, maybe you care too much on that issue. Maybe you see too, or you see it way too big, that issue. Let's just focus on what we have, because these are alternative scenarios, what might happen. But of course, it is due to my job. I have to consider all the crisis, all the critical scenarios in order to be able to avoid it or know what to do when it happens. So it comes natural from my job, but it affects me. The professional level is when you know it and you can control it, and sometimes you just check and filter yourself if there are any other saboteurs rising on the horizon, because of course I know my hypervigilant. I'm not really okay with it. So I just, hey, it might happen. I know you. No, it will not. The chances are 8%, and I'm a very rational person. 8%, let's consider it maybe later, or let's just put it on the second page. Let's focus on what's over 50. So whatever is your priority. So I believe that's the difference, and this is how everybody can become an expert, because we call experts the ones who understand what they want and how they work with their abilities, with their issues, and of course with their inner saboteurs, because we have it. If you say you don't have it, you never started, you never find this road, and you never started to walk this road.
But I do have a question for you, Magor, because you seem to have a better handle on this, at least in theory, because, right, we're all experts. What do we do about the peer pressure, about the social pressure?
Well, social pressure or peer pressure is rising, because my grandmother would say, when it was an online bullying, my grandmother said, well, just plug it out, darling, just switch it off. And there's no more online pressure and online bullying on you or anybody who was around. So in their concept, that was way different. They did the way they could do in order to survive or to achieve whatever they wanted. Our generation is more looking toward the peers, because we are focused on peer learning. we are the generation who would not learn necessarily from the older or the elder. We are learning from each other, from ourselves. We are learning in the company. We have training. So it's very strong peer learning. And that's why the peer opinion grows stronger. And the newer generation is even stronger because they define or identify themselves as a part of that group. So yes, it's going to be a very strong question. And again, helps a lot if you realize or you are aware that you do something because it is peer pressure or because somebody is watching or because I believe this is an expectation. You have to be very clear on what you are, what you represent, and what is expected from you to have. Of course, we always have looking at our peers, and of course we will compare ourselves because we are social creatures. But let's just not let it, or if it's possible, let's just keep it out from influencing us very much or that much. It's a considerant, as I said. I will not be hypervigilant. That goes on the second page.
That would be a blessing and a curse, right?
Exactly. And when I get a feedback or a critique, I always ask, okay, what can I use from this critique? I ask it loudly, even to my boss or my superior, the project coordinator, or whoever might be there. Okay, why you're telling me this? What is in for me? And if you can notice, hey, you can do it better. If it's a constructive feedback, let's see a situation. Let's see what I did, what happened, how I consider to be done or should be done, how am I feeling about. Of course, that's a constructive one, but no other peer pressure. Is it done? Is it ready? Everybody's working. I'm not working. How would they look at me? I don't care. I'm here on a t-shirt because I'm over 40, and over 40, the best thing is you don't care that much on these issues. Magda, you're not over 40, eh?
Well, if a woman says her age, it means she has much greater issues to hide. So I'm not.
Oh God! Let's not go there, please.
But I wanted to add something too.
It's okay. I'm very proud of my wrinkles. So yes, I took out my eyeglasses. Yes, I'm very proud of my age. Yeah.
I wanted to add something here because regarding peer pressure, because our lives are much more visible now than before, starting with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And it's a huge pressure to see we are over historicized society where everybody is showing off themselves, and it's enough to go on LinkedIn and see how much somebody realized in a very short period of time, and feeling that you are doing something wrong if you don't have so many things to show up. So we find out about everything, and we live under this pressure that we have to showcase the same huge achievements that others have. And regarding time management, if I take a look, for example, on LinkedIn on my colleagues who are my same age, which is also over 40, so I have greater issues to hide, when do they have time to do so much? I mean, they have 3 kids, 2 jobs, and they also go to the conference and to this conference and have this publication and another course. And it's like, when do they have the time to do it? Because I see everything that they do.
Yes, I have to agree with that. And this is why I don't really like LinkedIn. And of course, there are lots of jokes. Of course, whatever you do, pouring a glass of water can be described extraordinary, what contribution you had to the society by pouring a glass of water. I'm sorry because we lost the essential part, that who we are, what are we interested in, what is our professional profile, because it's a strong identity, it's a strong element of ourselves, and it should be there, but now it's a bit just, I don't know, way too much Blickfang, way too much colored. It just steal the eye. And I believe that's the peer pressure. It turns into peer pressure, what you were asking before. I don't have that many. And I was asking, I would need a new language certificate. I knew exactly what I would use that for, and probably that's the next thing for me. And so it's really okay if somebody else has 300 badges. I have 4 or 10, or I don't know. I never counted them.
Okay.
So no, I will not do multitasking. I will not wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful and to achieve all of these.
You jumped in a bit in front of me, but I do have one more question before we go to some myth busting. How much, and this is a question for both of you, because I have a feeling you're going to have a bit of a difference in opinion here. how much of time management is personality based and how much is it habit based?
Oh, can I start with the lazy stuff?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is one of my triggers. This thing, but sometimes when I work with younger people, with students, with juniors at different corporations, they say, "Okay, I would like to do this, but I'm so lazy." And I always say, "You're not lazy. Lazy is just an excuse. You are procrastinating because being lazy, it's a trait, something that I'm just like this. I'm sorry, I cannot change it. It's my personality, if you want to say so. It's not a personality trait, but something like this. If you say I'm procrastinating, it's a behavior. You can change your behavior. But saying I'm lazy, it's an excuse. So you don't have to do something. And this is also due to this pressure that you feel that you have to excel at time management and realize so many tasks in a very short time.
Okay. So would it be rather personality based or habit based for you?
I will not be a teacher if I wouldn't believe that people can change a bit and learn things and adapt. And now we talk about resilience, which is not a new concept, but of course entered our quotidian or everyday life like a few years ago. So I believe that, of course, you have probably you have better practices from your family. I don't think it's genetical. I think it's the environment you grew up and and where you're working right now, your current environment, how shapes you and what allows you to do. Because some people wouldn't say what I said, I will never pick up the phone when I'm on my focus time. It's a very strong thing. You have to grow for that and to be able to say that very strongly. As I said, yes, just like saying no. It's an issue at trainings as well. Some people would say, without blinking, a no. Argumented, clear, defined, very, very formal and protocol and correct no. Some would struggle years to learn that, depending on their saboteurs, as Magda said earlier. So yes, I believe lots of things can be learned, and tips and tricks would help you, and looking at your peers, how they deal with similar situation might be useful for you. If all your peers are doing bad, that might not mean that you don't have a solution. It might mean that you should look further and find somewhere else. But yes, people can change, and I know and I know from myself, I've changed a lot on even on time perspective or time managing issues.
It's a very interesting discussion, and honestly, it is my personal belief that it's depending on the situation that you're in and the context, as you said, depends on also company culture, where you work, the type of people you surround yourself with, right? Because it also gives you the type of peer pressure. There's peer pressure in learning, in studying, in growing, and there's peer pressure in skipping tasks and being lazy and procrastinating and enjoying cats videos.
It helps a lot. Just if I may, for one sentence,
Yep.
When we work with a company and try to work with their time management issues, we start, of course, when to have meetings and what are our attention spans, and when we have meetings and so on and so forth. We always have the regular dolce far niente, but right at the beginning of the schedule. So the time when everybody arrives, let's say the first half an hour should be a coffee time, a chat time, a discussion time, because that would help on peer pressure as well. So understanding that the others are not some high achiever robots, but they are people who manage their tasks. Today, I had to leave the kids. I came here. After, I will do something else. So we see real people with real life, with real situations and problems, how they manage it, and we can learn that. And this way, the peer pressure might not be that high, because you see, they're just regular people. And sometimes I was looking at somebody, wow, how much they achieved, and then I realized, well, they have at least 10 more years in professional life than I have. Let's not compare current myself to the status they are now. Perhaps to the status they were at my age. Perhaps. But 10 years ago, of course, the society was different, and so on and so forth. So these are very tricky, very slippery slopes to enter, and I would just avoid. as much as possible, just say, okay, others would do in a different way. If there's anything for me to learn, I will learn it. Otherwise, it's really good for you that you're doing so right, or you have so high expectancies, or you disseminate some information that would not be suitable for me. Bye. I do it in my own way. So that's a way, and the morning coffee is mandatory. And now we do it even in public institutions. Yes, they're not drinking coffee all day long, but the morning meeting is important. The staff information goes there. What happens in the company, how to organize our day even before the stand-up meeting or the daily planning meeting, or what your team would have in the morning. This is the first part we organize. And when I enter the meeting to plan our day, I already know how our day would look like. We just need to confirm to make sure that every task is assigned, everybody is on the right track. So these are the tricks to avoid a bit, including a break would help you on peer pressure and organizing. Wow.
You did mention a very interesting thing right now between differences in time periods, right? So you now versus them 10 years ago and this. And we did talk about some myth busting. But I do have a question. There's a lot of talk right now about differences in between generations, right? Z, X, Alpha, Y, whatever else is there, I lost track. Is it that strong that you can definitely categorize somebody into one of these generations, or is it rather a myth?
If I may start with the technical part, and then I let Magda. I'm talking a lot, but sorry, you find two teachers, so we will fight for the mic. This is how it happens usually. That's why we don't have tandem classes, because we should just fight. I'm kidding.
Right, it doesn't work.
No, anyway, it doesn't work. Generational thing is really interesting because a generation is a group, and the group means that it's a bunch of people who can clearly defined or can clearly determined by the others. So a generation is not that if you were born in 2000, then you're Gen Z. No. If you're born in the generation that would have the habit to have internet and computer at home, and you were raised having these tools in your everyday life, then it would affect your, of course, time management, would affect the way you think, would affect the way you prioritize, would affect lots of things. So you're way different from the generation, which is, let's say, me, who had in the high school. Yes, I was in the IT. I had my first computer, wow, at the end of the high school, during the university, of course. The next generation would be different, and the alphas would consider that their online profile, online life, social life, is just as important or even more important than their real life. And now I go back to my grandmother who said, just push the stop button, just plug it out, and then it's fine. There's no more online. No, they cannot do that anymore. So yes, the generation are definitely different, not by the year they were born, but by the habits they assumed or the way they were raised in the first, let's just say 14 or maybe 18 years. So that's a generation, and yes, they have really, really clear signs, and I can see at the university the slow change and the big change. And of course, you see at the workplace the slow changes at the big places. And also, a person born in 2000 can be a really nicer Y person. You know, a Y gen, not a Z gen, because of the technology, because he likes the transformation, because he understands this process, because his mentality or his roles, I don't know, from family, maybe resemble more that model their parents had, which is fine. So he's a young person with an attitude of an older generation, but I don't care as a communicator because I can target them by the generation. It's fancy. If they are not born in the same year, it's okay for me. The important is that they should get the message, and they get it, so it's working. So yes, we can clearly see it. And in education, yes, it is a strong part when we see them growing, and when, of course, entering the market.
If you're looking at the generations from the perspective of their time management, there's difference based on the technology that they grew up with. For example, if you grew up with a modem and you had to use the landlines and the phone to check your email. You know that you sent an email today and maybe you received an answer 3 days later. You know that you don't have to expect instant reply to everything. For a Gen Z, if he or she sent me a message and I've seen it and didn't reply it, it's like, okay, you left me with seen. Why didn't you reply me right at the same time? So they are used more to instant replies, to instant gratification, to finding everything instantly. For example, they have one question. My students, sometimes we use a learning management platform, and sometimes they write me at 10 o'clock in the evening. Sorry for writing you so late, but I was wondering whether the class from 8 o'clock tomorrow, do I have to do this or that? I don't check my messages on the platform at 10 in the evening, so I will answer them after the class that starts at 8 a.m. Sorry, I didn't see your message before, because they are used to getting instant replies, so their perception of time is very different than the perception of the previous generations. And I think that this impacts their time management exactly because of this FOMO feeling that I have to find out everything immediately, because if not, I will miss out on something.
So that is rather a habit that we can develop and build and grow into, and that will help us with time management, right?
Or that can destroy our time management, because I find myself checking my messages all the time because I'm spending so much time with them that I have learned that I have, if they leave me with a scene, I'm like, okay, why didn't you answer? You read my message.
And this falls into what Magor was describing earlier, into the person who is self-aware, knows what the saboteurs and what also the advantage points are, right? And uses them to their own benefit and advantage without being egotistical or anything else, just to get yourself to the point of balance where you can have a little FOMO without going into the extremes. Is there, by chance, any myth that you have encountered more often and you like, or it's funny to you? Magor, I know we discussed about waking up at 5 a.m. Some people have to do it.
Yeah, I wake up at 6 p.m. because my focus time is best in the morning and before lunchtime. So I wouldn't say there's no way, but usually cannot take me out from my home office or my office before that time. Because that's my focus time, I will not give it to you. I don't want meeting, I don't want low profile activities. I am focusing on my core, on my main activities. We are working 3.5 hours effectively in a day. But let's be serious. In an 8 hour, if you're good, you go up, let's say incorporate maybe 5.5. But half of the time of the 8 hours, you're doing something else. Low profile activities, social activities, which are important. But the core is 3.5 hours. I can do it by the noon time. So at 12 or 1 o'clock, I can be at the gym and then I can have my lunch. And I've been working the regular hours. After lunch, my focus goes down. Of course, I'm an early bird. My focus goes down, but it's okay. I can still have classes. I can still have meetings. I can still reply my emails. I just say that would go first. Of course, in a different day structure, just to keep myself trained. When I have a training, for instance, from 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, that's a different day and a different structure. But if it would be up to me, then I would do exactly the same. Start at 6, and at 12 o'clock I can wake up at 6, and at 12 o'clock I can go to the gym, 12 or maybe 1 o'clock, and then the lunch. So yes, it's an issue.
I think we can take that as good advice. I will, at least, just to maybe once in a while recheck which is your most productive time of day. because there are people who operate better in the mornings, but there are people who, if you wake them up at 6 a.m., you're going to get the gremlin or the bear, but not the productive human being you're waiting for.
Yeah, the early birds and the late birds. I do appreciate person. And when I was doing my PhD, I was a late person because after 8 o'clock that was more silence and I could work until 2 or 3 a.m. But that don't wake me up in the morning because I'm not functional and I'm semi-functional until lunchtime. So yes, I can go to meetings and I can check emails because that's not my core activity time. So I defend my core activity time because that's the important, because that's the part when the real thing happen or the real things happen. So yes, please protect your core time. If there's one thing you do, and of course, no phone, no messages, because that's your core time. When the magic happens, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, please try it. And as you said, Christina, try different configurations from day to day. I know if I have a training for morning, I have the dynamic and the energy for the whole training. The lunchtime would not break me because it's already a routine and the mindset. So we can deal with, everybody can deal with it. So if you look at your different type of days or different day types, then you will realize that you perform good. Find the best one and try to make it repetitive and try to get the best out of it. And when you've done that, you can be proud and look for another method. Because that's evolution.
We already jumped into advice. So, Magda, what would be your top advice for people struggling with also maybe procrastination, but mainly time management?
Well, my top advice is use lists. Because you have to find your own system. You can use post-its and having them color-coded for personal or professional tasks. But my experience is that if you don't have them written down somewhere, your tasks, or what you have to do in a day, I tend to multitask. I remember, okay, I have to answer that email. I have to put the laundry. Then I have to prepare for class, and I'm switching between tasks, which is not useful at all. But if I have a list and I can check stuff, then I'm much more organized and I can manage my time and tasks much better. Everyone has to find their own system. And I think that we all have to learn to keep these lists as short as possible, because we tend to write up everything and then in the evening we have the feeling that we didn't do anything. But if we have a list of, 3 to 8 tasks for one day, the feeling of I don't check them out, I cross them out very aggressively, because it's okay, I'm done with this. It's a relief, and I see the progress I made. If I have no list, I cannot visualize the progress.
There is one thing that I have learned, and I'm also applying in coaching, out of sight, out of mind. So if it's not on my list and it's not in my calendar, then most probably it's out of mind, and with all due respect, I might forget. Because
I usually say, when somebody said, did you take care of those things, and ask, was it on my list? Because if it was not, the chances are high to forget. I don't want to be that one who keeps everything in its mind. No, please write me down. When people ask me things, I will say, yeah, send me a message about that. You will not forget it because it's important for you. I will forget because I have tasks, and in the next minute I'm thinking of something else, and rarely I can just reconstruct my whole day. And I don't want to forget it. I'm trying to be a decent guy here. So please write me a reminder. That's also a way of communication, but also a time management issue. I have the message there. I'm an empty inbox technique. So they will stay there until they are solved, regardless if they are SMS or emails or WhatsApp messages or whatever. So yes, until they are solved. If when they are solved, they just go on the folder and it's clear. It's so satisfying. Just like the list, you crossed out everything. It's so satisfying. Oh.
And
I
if
think
I may
we're
add,
going to... Yeah.
if I may
Go
add,
ahead.
the lists also help you prioritize, because if you see it written, you can choose which one to start with, the one that is the most important, the one that you have procrastinated until now, the one that is the easiest to do. It depends on everyone, but if it's written, it helps you prioritize them.
Did you ever find that I've seen two different situations that people struggle with? It's the task that you tend to procrastinate most rarely makes it on the list, somehow gets lost on the edges of the list. And the second one is when you're not in a productive time of day, or you're not in a productive mindset. Since we were talking about mindsets, you tend to take a task and break it down into, 1,000 subtasks just to have the feeling of checking them off the list. But in the meantime, you might spend more time in doing that than actually accomplishing the task at hand. I think we need a separate... Yes, definitely. But I think we need a separate episode just for tools and saboteurs and traps. Definitely. I mean, tricks are nice, but traps are the ones that catch you and the ones that bury you at times under mountain of work. Thank you so much for joining me today. As we wrap this up, ironically, because we need to manage our podcast time, it's time for the last classic question. If you had just one piece of advice, and I'm going to ask you to make it out of a trap that trapped you until you learned how to get out through habit, what would it be?
I will go first because I know exactly what you're talking about, or at least I think sleep comes first. It's a lesson learned, but it's also a trap. Let me just do this thing in the evening, and then I will go to bed and I will sleep better because the task is done. That's a trap. No, the task should go on the list, not to forget, and then you can chill down. The task is there. The first thing in the morning when I will check the list, oh, here you are. And I will just go on with the task. Okay, so don't keep it on your mind. And the recommendation is sleep comes first. When you do your daily planning, put the required hours of sleep first. It's 5 to 9 according to the WHO, whatever. 6 to 9, sorry, according to the WHO. Whatever makes you happy or satisfied, put it there. And then you put the other tasks, which would be, of course, you eat, of course, you have some routines, of course, you wake up in the morning. If you have family, you have to deliver them. So there are other tasks that would be very, very time-based or exact schedule-based. But the recommendation is sleep comes first. Don't cheat it. Because you cannot focus, you will not be able to perform, and you will be grumpy, and many other things would come out, and I know the big sleepers would know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not a big sleeper, but no, don't cheat on your sleeping time.
That is very valid advice, and I wish I heard it some years ago, but I will take it now as well.
Yeah, I wish as well.
We learn from experience, right?
If I would know it for 20 years earlier, would help me a lot, because now I see it works and it's essential.
That it's also, if I may say so myself, out of my own experience, sleep as well is habit built. Yeah. It does not come natural. So that's why it's important to have it on the list with top priority, because it's important for your health and for yourself, for your well-being overall.
Yep. It is.
Magda, what is your trap?
Being a psychologist, my advice is learn that your personal worth and value doesn't depend on the length of your task list. And saying no to tasks and shortening your task list as much as possible gives you time for the important things, family, fun, things to do, relaxation, mindfulness, and so on. Well, keep it short, if possible, and learn to say no and get to know your saboteurs.
Difficult tasks and difficult homework, Magda, but we promise we'll work on it. And I have a feeling that we need to come back to both of you for more, because there's a lot to unpack in time management. Time isn't just money, as the old saying goes. It's mood, it's momentum, it's meaning, and it's also health, as we learned today. Learning to manage it might just be the most human skill that we can master in this digital age. So thank you so much for helping us rethink how we spend our time, learn some tips and tricks in the meantime. To our viewers and our listeners, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your favorite procrastinator, and join us next time for a conversation that might just change how you show up at work and in life.